Before Trayvon Martin, Mike Brown, or Sandra Bland, there was Oscar Grant. The current movement against police terror and for accountability and justice can trace its first iterations to this moment, when Oscar Grant was killed by a Bay Area Rapid Transit police officer on January 1st, 2009. Captured on numerous digital devices, Oscar's death would be the first murder prosecution of an on-duty Bay Area police officer. Before that would occur, however, Oscar would be murdered in the media and in the court system. It was a triple murder. No doubt, the murders of Oscar Grant tells this story.
Greetings. How y'all doing? This is Tandasizwe Shimarenga. I am still in the void, coming to you on a Monday, which is usually when I had been coming to you, Monday at 5 p.m. But for Black August, I've been doing readings from Safiya Bukhari's The War Before and Sanyika Shakur's Stand Up, Struggle Forward, Sundays at 5 p.m. So I haven't done a Monday show in a while, but I'm coming to you today in honor of Safiya Bukhari. This is the date in which she made her transition back in 2003. So I'm going to do a replay of a show I did last year. Basically, it's a video from last year. And it came to my attention, a sister by the name of Monica Wayie Lee, Asian sister out here, one of the activists in the Asian community, one of our allies, had recorded it, and I didn't think anything of it. Fast forward however many years, 20 something years, and she dropped me a line and said, "Hey, Tandi, look what I found." And I was like, wow, this is priceless. I'm so glad that she documented it, and I wanted to make sure that it was documented by being broadcast to all of you. So this is a video from, I believe it was February 21st, Malcolm X's assassination date of 2004, when some folks in Los Angeles gathered together to remember Safiya Bukhari, and Yuri Kochiyama was the guest speaker. Now, I have to remind myself that we all are not at the same spot in our development. We ain't all been on the same journey. I can't assume that you all, because this is the Black Liberation Media audience, that everybody knows who not only Safiya Bukhari, but who Yuri Kochiyama is. Yuri Kochiyama was a Japanese woman, Japanese American, a survivor of the concentration camps during World War II, where her family was decimated by that experience. She born and raised in San Pedro, California, out here a few miles south of LA. Family went to New York, and she became active in her community, active in political circles. Japanese family living in Harlem. One of the people she met was Malcolm X, who, like most people, he changed her life, and they became lifelong friends. As a matter of fact, I don't know I think it's Life magazine, the photo of Malcolm X assassinated, lying on the floor of the Audubon Ballroom in 1965. If you look closely, you'll see that there's a Japanese woman, I believe, cradling his head. That is Yuri Kochiyama. She was there on that day. Yuri Kochiyama has been a friend, an ally, a sister to Black, Puerto Rican, Indigenous / Native American liberation movements for most of her life. Passed away a few years ago in the Bay Area. One of the last times I saw Yuri was in Oakland in the early 2000s, and she was at a protest with a walker. She was still out in the streets, even though she was using a walker. Age had come upon her. She was doing it until she couldn't do it no more. One of the things that Yuri did as part of her solidarity is she would write to and visit and drum up support for political prisoners and prisoners of war. So we will always praise Yuri Kochiyama's name. We will always raise her name up. We will always be thankful for having her in our midst. And this is Yuri Kochiyama giving thanks and praise to one of her friends, Safiya Bukhari. So before I get into the video, I want to remind you all to like, share, and subscribe. Please like the video. Please share the link. Please subscribe to Black Liberation Media, or tell someone to subscribe to Black Liberation Media. You see the Patreon down at the bottom. Please join our Patreon. You can become a member on YouTube, but join the Patreon also. Please also tell folks, if they're not subscribed already to Rootwork here on YouTube, please subscribe to Rootwork. Help a sister out, all right? So, again, I want to mention on Sundays at 5 for Black August, I've been reading from Safiya Bukhari's book, The War Before, as well as Stand Up, Struggle Forward by Sanyika Shakur. And I will continue to do that, even though, technically speaking, Black August ends next week. We're going to go through those books Sundays at 5 until I finish those books. Now, one of the things I want to show you this real quick. I mentioned, we read from a chapter yesterday in Safiya Bukhari's book about how it was not a contradiction to be Muslim and a revolutionary. And she talked about her development and how she became a Muslim and studied under a brother by the name of Imam Rasul Suleiman at Green Haven Prison in New York State. And I told people somewhere out there in the world is a photograph of Safiya and Yuri with their heads covered. Yuri also became a Muslim. She also took Shahada from Imam Suleiman at Green Haven Prison. So when I went out looking for, because I couldn't find the original graphic I had for the show last year, did a little Google search. And what did I find? I found the photograph that I had been talking about. Yuri Kochiyama on the right, in the middle, Imam Rasul Suleiman, and on the left is Safiya Bukhari. This is from the UCLA Asian American Studies Center, which put out helped produce one of Yuri's memoirs called Passing It On. She has a memoir and a biography by Diane Fugino, who teaches at UC Santa Barbara. So here, I believe, well, I'm not sure if Yuri's archives or her papers are at UCLA, but she did a lot of work with the UCLA Asian American Studies Center. So as we see here, this is Yuri Kochiyama, Safiya Bukhari, and Imam Rasul Suleiman. Description: Safiya Bukhari on the left, was one of the political prisoners who Yuri supported. In the early 1970s, Yuri became Sunni Muslim and studied and worshipped with Imam Rasul Suleiman in the center at the Sankore Mosque in Green Haven Prison in New York. Now I'm going to read that part again. In the early 1970s, Yuri became Sunni Muslim and studied and worshipped with Imam Rasul Suleiman at the Sankore Mosque in Green Haven Prison in New York. Two things. Green Haven Prison is a men's prison. That's one. Number two, Yuri Kochiyama was not in prison in New York or in Green Haven Prison. She went to the prison along with Safiya Bukhari. They visited prisoners, political prisoners, and they partook of the study group. Yuri could have gone anywhere. You telling me there's no other place? There was no mosque closer to home in Harlem? She went to this prison, studied and worshipped with Imam Rasul Suleiman, and took her Shahada. Now, why would she do that? Well, it just so happens that when I put up the flyer announcing the program for today on Instagram, Orisanmi Burton, author of The Tip of the Spear, should be well known to Black liberation media audiences. Orisanmi Burton made a comment. He said the brother pictured in the middle is Rasul Suleiman, aka Robert 35X, aka Robert H. Smith, aka Karate Bob, political prisoner, former bodyguard of Malcolm X, an Islamic mentor to many. This brother was a bodyguard of Malcolm X, who was a close friend of Yuri Kochiyama. In other words, Yuri Kochiyama knew Bob back in the day. And as his work expanded and he became an imam at the prison, the relationships continued. So this photo is courtesy of the Kochiyama family, given to the UCLA Asian American Studies Center. All right. So let me go ahead. I'm going to deal with y'all in the chat later. Let me go ahead on now and get into the video, and we'll come back later on and talk about whatever it is y'all want to talk about. All right. Real quick. This is Safiya Asya Bukhari, member of the Black Panther Party and the Amistad Collective of the Black Liberation Army, co-founder of the Free Mumia Abu Jamal Coalition and the Jericho Amnesty Coalition, vice president of the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa. She became an ancestor Black August 24th, 2003. Author of The War Before. Yuri Kochiyama was an anti-imperialist revolutionary, friend and comrade of Safiya, also a friend and deeply influenced by Malcolm X, staunch ally supporter of anti-imperialist struggles, political prisoners, and prisoners of war. And here is the book, Yuri Kochiyama, Heartbeat of Struggle by Diane Fujima. This up here in the corner, Passing It On by Yuri Kochiyama, is the memoir that was produced in conjunction with the UCLA Asian American Studies Center.
There she is.
Are we going to give an introduction?
No, that's not.
Okay, but wait a minute. She doesn't want to introduce, but I got to say something. I got to say something. This woman sitting next to me, I don't know where to start, so I'm just going to jump right on in. A few years ago, you know, Che Guevara talks about a lot of things. He talks about the revolutionary being guided by great feelings of love. He talks about how you must always feel any injustice anywhere very deeply, that you need to take it personal.
That's real.
You know, this woman sitting next to me who was a victim of U.S. imperialism, who was in the concentration camps, right? I'm doing some research several years ago about the Provisional Government, the Republic of New Africa. Is everybody familiar with that?
All right.
And I hear I'm reading this stuff and it says, blah, 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 Republican, blah, 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 Yuri Kochiyama became a citizen in 1968, blah, blah, blah. I had to marry. I said, say what? Yuri Kochiyama became a citizen of the Republic of New Africa. Puerto Rican. Yuri Kochiyama, every time I look around, I see this woman's name.
Okay.
So then I'm at UCLA working with NOMO several years ago, and a sister wants to do something about Malcolm X. So she does something about the assassination of Malcolm X. She goes and gets this picture of Malcolm laying on the floor of the Audubon Ballroom, February 21st, 1965. He's been assassinated. People are clamoring all around him. They got his shirt open. You know, he's looking like he's on his way out. He was on his way out. And there's this Asian woman cradling his head. And I'm like, that's Yuri Kochiyama, that's Yuri Kochiyama. They don't know what I'm talking about. They think I'm just gibbering. I'm like, you all right, Tommy? Yeah, I'm fine. That's Yuri Kochiyama, that's Yuri Kochiyama. This woman has truly taken to heart that type of maxim. This woman has lived her life in support of other people's struggles for liberation. She understands that her liberation is tying with world humanity. We need to understand this woman, how great she is. Just as great as this woman we have come to honor Safiya Bukhari about picking up the work, we must also honor Sister Yuri Kochiyama. So let me be the first one. She can be mad at me later. I got to do it.
She knows everything. So did the brother that was right here before. Gosh, I want to thank all of you who have come here. Saturday, I know for all of you it's a busy day. You probably should be shopping or something else, and yet you came here. And it's such a nice mixed group. I wish we could all get to know each other. First, I want to thank Onishida for inviting me. And I was so surprised to see Michael Novick. I never met him, but I read his stuff. And then to hear, I couldn't quite catch the name of that brother. Was it
Mpinduzi.
Mpinduzi.
Yeah, what?
Mpinduzi.
Mpinduzi.
Right.
Mpinduzi.
And I'm sure you know Maulana Karanga. He knows you well.
Oh, goodness, I didn't know if you know me. We all know who he is. Yeah. But to be invited to something like this is really something different. You don't always go to a place like this. I couldn't believe that as I walked in the door and there was Malcolm X's picture. You don't usually go to church.
All right.
And there he was, and there was Mandela, and there was a painting of someone that looked like Aldrich Cleaver, was it? I don't know. There's a painting there. But, and of course, Martin Luther King. All right. I want to thank those of you who made this event possible. Just as Tandy has said, Safiya Bukhari is quite an unusual person. She's an impressive Black Panther sister, activist, leader. She passed away on August 25th of last year from a heart attack. She had just come home from her mother's funeral. Today is also, as the brother who announced it, that today is February 21st, a day we can never forget. It's the assassination date of the awesome, phenomenal champion of Black liberation, Malcolm X. I will first talk about Safiya, a very, very dear comrade, and then I would like to say something in remembrance of Malcolm. When I first met Safiya, she was only about 17. I was about 40. As young as she was, she quickly became one of the most dedicated grassroots Panther organizer, a political strategist, an eloquent speaker, an audacious radical, a one-time political prisoner herself, and a profound supporter of political prisoners. A beloved member of the Black community of Harlem, she was involved locally, but was a devout internationalist. Mumia Jamal called Safiya the lioness for liberation and a lifeline for political prisoners, and that's what she was. Her passing was a shock to Black Panther parties all over the country, even if the Black Panther parties itself are not alive, the Panthers are alive. Especially in New York, she was missed. We could not believe that she had passed away. It was just quite suddenly that after the funeral, she had a heart attack. And she is missed by political prisoners across the country because she kept in touch with hundreds and hundreds of them. Safiya was born, as I think Tony mentioned, Bernice Jones, but was given the name Safiya Bukhari from the Imam of Greenhaven Prison in Stoneville, New York. He was the best known Imam, Imam Rasul Suleiman. Do any of you remember him? Rasul Suleiman, good. He was once Robert 35X, but when Malcolm left the NOI, Suleiman was one of them. About 200 of them left the NOI and went with Malcolm, and you know that he then started MMI, Muslim Mosque Incorporated, and OAU, Organization of African American Unity. Safiya used to go to Greenhaven Prison every weekend to learn more about Islam. And she was so proud when Imam Rasul Suleiman gave her the name Safiya Bukhari. I don't know what it means. Do you? Safiya Bukhari, okay. But she believed, like Malcolm, to keep your religion at home in a closet or just leave it at the mosque. For her, she felt the struggle should be up front. Safiya was a brilliant student and was offered a scholarship to one of the elite colleges in the East Coast. But when she witnessed a police beating a young Black man selling Black Panther papers on the street, that changed her life. She wanted to know what kind of a group the Black Panther was. She picked up one of the newspapers that kid was beaten had, and after taking it home and reading it, the very next day, she began inquiring, where's the Black Panther office and how could she join? She went to the Harlem chapter and joined there. And what did she do? She did the usual things that all Panthers do. Sell newspapers on the street, become part of the Breakfast for Children program, read Mao's Red Book, attend PE session, political education session, visit prisons, go to all the marches, demonstrations, and meetings, and she was speaking at all of them. Safiya was a very busy young woman. It was hard to keep track of her. And somewhere along the way, I don't know, she became a mother. And she also, at some point in her life, She married one of the New Haven Three. And some of you, I hope, remember the name Ashanti Alston. I hope you remember me. It's one of the New Haven Three. Safiya's ever-changing life was never dull. Her journey through her movement's life were memorable. Perhaps her most dramatic moment was when she escaped from the Alderson Women's Prison in West Virginia. It was an excellently planned move and thus was successful. With a white female comrade, the two had quietly, for months and months, been prying and opening in their cell. Then one night, and it happened to be New Year's Eve, because she knew that all the jail guards would be drinking and partying. Well, by then they had a big enough space that they could crawl through. And so New Year's Eve, they crawled out of there and then they climbed over 2 fences, were chased by dogs, but reached the highway where a car was waiting for them. About 6 hours later, about 5 a.m., my husband woke me up and said, "Hey, someone's knocking on the door." But I went to, and he said, "Oh, it's probably one of your friends." There was Safiya with a huge grin on her face. It was one of the coldest nights. She had no sweater or coat, and it was one of the coldest New Year's morning. Well, you know, this year, New York, it was the coldest winter they said they had, so it must have been like that. So I knew she must be in a hurry somewhere. She better get out anyway. So I just passed her a coat and some food, and she was off. Another dramatic moment was when Safiya, with some comrades, tried to free 3 members of the Black Liberation Movement. You knew about it. The mission was unsuccessful, but it showed what kind of warrior Safiya was. Her ideas, I don't know how she gets these ideas to how to get people out of prison, but she is amazing. I mean, she risked her life on many occasions. And of course, you know who Asada is. She is very much like Asada. But there were many other black sisters who did similar things, whose names are known, and we shouldn't be telling their stories. And though such women are few, besides the blacks, there are many Puerto Rican independentistas, so many were able to get out 2 years ago, and there were many white anti-imperialist women, and still there are those in prison, and Marilyn Buck got 80 years, but I think she's done 22. A quick movement odyssey of Safiya finds her becoming a Black Panther in the 60s. She was a teenager. I don't know if she finished college, but she was brilliant. She was a member of the National Committee to Defend Political Prisoners in the 70s, because by the 70s, most of the Panther leaders were in prison. And then she herself became a political prisoner in the 70s when she was caught. She was a Jericho organizer in the 80s, and a member, and not a member, and a citizen, because you don't become a member. She was a citizen and elected official of the Provisional Government of the Republic of New Africa. I'm so surprised you know about it. So many blacks don't know. Thank you. All right, Safiya was unstoppable. Her last project before she died was working to get support for Fred Hilton, now known as Kamal Siddiqui. Do any of you remember Fred Hilton? He was a Panther in the BLA. After 30 years, they busted Kamal for a police killing that happened 30 years ago. I'm sure the police had no evidence, and yet they were able to find him guilty. You know how they do it all the time. They were able to find a snitch. And so just on the evidence of a snitch, that Fred Hilton, Kamal, is in prison now. He has 1 lifetime plus 10 years. Safiya, like other New York Panthers who transitioned before her, I don't know the names of all over here in California, but the ones in New York were people like New Washington, Jaheed, Rima Kearney, Twyman Myers, and there are just so many. Well, anyway, they were all awesome, fearless, and dedicated. And everyone has amazing stories that they could tell. They all left a legacy that the Panther Party can be proud of. They were part of, as she said, a part of the worldwide struggle who fought for self-determination, human rights, and basic needs for all. We will never forget Safiya Bukhari, her unpretentious demeanor, her endless devotion, her genuine camaraderie, and her excellent leadership. She was also a great admirer of Malcolm X, but I think all Panthers were. And now about Malcolm. We must remember him today. I hope that in California they are holding some kind of a memorial for him. In New York, there are so many groups doing something for Malcolm. In Harlem alone, I'm sure there'll be at least 3 memorials. Brooklyn will have its own, Queens will have its own, and the Bronx. Malcolm's demise was not unexpected. You can imagine a man like him, he was not supposed to live very long. This country would never allow a man like Malcolm to live, to survive, to touch the lives of others. He was only 39, but you know, all the black leaders died around that time. Well, Martin Luther King was 39, and the greatest African leader, Patrice Lumumba, was only 35, and he was tortured and beaten. He had everything done to him, and then was executed. Those of you, I'm sure, here have seen the film about Patrice Lumumba. It's done by a Haitian. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. You will see what he went through. But there's so much that Malcolm has gone through that people don't even know about. And a lot of times it was, I wouldn't say that they were black people, they were Negroes. They were used by the
I told you she was bad.
And many of his closest, best brothers were killed, and their names aren't even remembered. But Malcolm, his courage and brilliant life left an imprint not only on his people, but on the enemy. And you know, always, they're still trying to make him into something else. He is not the kind of black man that this envious, swaggering, egotistic country would allow to live. Malcolm's unparalleled, heroic example of African manhood intimidated the U.S. to the point that the craven leadership of this nation gave the order for his assassination. Do you know who gave the order, though, for Patrice Lumumba's assassination? Who?
Eisenhower.
Right, Eisenhower. Good for you. Where did you read it? Because you usually don't. They just say CIA.
The Congo Cables, it's a book about it.
What?
The Congo Cables, it's a book about
Oh,
it.
well, there's another book, but I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's a good book that you all have to read. And I was surprised that it would be in there because it was a fiction story, but that was in there. Malcolm left a legacy, not by speech alone, but by action. A legacy of how to live, to be proud of your African ancestry, to fight for freedom, justice, and human dignity. And those three words, other people picked up, and no matter what background, they felt, yes, they should fight for freedom, justice, and human dignity for all. Malcolm, in his short life, changed the direction of many of the blacks who were in the movement there. He changed their focus from black nationalism to Pan-Africanism and to continue the path of African revolutionary internationalism. And I would like to end with two of Malcolm's quotes, and one quote, I don't know who, but it's a very good quote. One of his, I think, best quote is, "If we are extremists, we are not ashamed of it. In fact, the conditions that our people suffer are extreme, and an extreme illness cannot be cured with a moderate medicine." Right? And another one, "I believe there will ultimately be a clash between the oppressed and those who do the oppressing. I believe there will be a clash between those who want freedom, justice, and equality for everyone, and those who want to continue the system of exploitation. I believe there will be that kind of a clash, but I don't think it will be based on the color of the skin." And lastly, I want to repeat, it's too bad, the person who wrote it's a beautiful few lines. It's by some unknown person. It says, "Malcolm was not just a black man. He was the black experience. He was baptized into blackness and repudiated his slave name and took on the X, the unknown, the potential of what could be, the reality of what he became." Thank you.
So that was Yuri Kochiyama speaking February 21st, 2004, here in Los Angeles at a program in honor of Safiya Bukhari. Let me say real quick, she talked about when she came in the church, she saw a giant photograph, a picture of Malcolm X and other people. That program was held in a place called Faith United Methodist Church out here in Los Angeles. Shout out to Pastor Andrew Robinson Gaither. Pastor Gaither, who made his transition several years ago, was a much needed, welcoming space for a lot of us here in Los Angeles. We were able to do a lot of things, hold a lot of programs at his church. He opened the doors to us, which a lot of churches did not do not do, will not do. But that pastor, I don't know his entire history. I do know that he passed from AIDS. We believe he was closeted, so he passed from AIDS or AIDS-related disease. But on this issue of Black liberation, he always welcomed us into that space. So shout out to Pastor Andrew Robinson Gaither. And I believe, no, I don't have it at the end. That clip of Yuri was recorded by Monica Wayie Lee. I know I'm jacking up her name. Monica Wayie, Wayie Lee, Ly. It might be pronounced lie in the Ebonics, of Dragonfly Productions. So, people have got all kinds of things in their personal archives. And I know I have begun I'm in the beginning process of gathering VHS and beta tapes and getting those digitized. You might not think you have something important or worthy or or historic gathering dust in your house. I bet you got something. If it ain't nothing but you talking to your grandma, your nana, your mama, your mima, somebody in your family about some history. You need to find that. You need to copy it, digitize it if possible, because that is history. And if you don't think history is important, why are these people bending over backwards, tripping over themselves to strike the names off of monuments, to erase things and put up new plaques? I'm telling you, it's all part of this same struggle, the struggle to document our history, our experiences, our presence. So y'all need to go through your inventories, go find out what you got, take care of it. All right. Now, let me get on over here real quick. Real quick. See how everybody doing. Thank y'all for showing up with me. I thought it was great when I found out about it. I was like, what? You got this on tape? What else you got on tape? Yeah. Yeah. Hey, when they say Yuri was a real one, Yuri was a real one. Okay. And Yuri, I didn't realize it. If you saw in the video, she was on a walker then. That was in 2004. She passed away 10 years later. Still going out there to events if she could in her walker for as long as she could. All right. That was Yuri. She was not playing. Damn, my earrings was ringing, huh? Yes, I had the Ghana collection. Always gonna have the Ghana collection. Absolutely. A Dinkra, yo. Man, Safiya and Yuri, absolutely. Two great ones. Okay, you ain't had to go there. I was trying to get rid of that nickname. You ain't had to do that. But anyway. Yes, that was a wee of a bit younger Tandi. Wee of a bit. Just a wee. Yeah, so. Wow. Well, I'm so happy you was able to find me too, and I'm happy you came through and spent a little bit of time on your Monday afternoon with me. Listen, These people are destroying books. I talked about that too yesterday. There are PDFs available online of some books, but independent authors in particular, independent publishing houses, we need your support to purchase these books and purchase them as books because these people are actively destroying our history. And in some instances, they're doing it to train artificial intelligence. And after they do that, they destroy the book, physically destroy the book after they've made copies to feed into their AI machines. It is ridiculous. So let me put this up here again. Yes, please digitize, back up, and share those videos. Like I said, I'm in the process now of getting that organized because, as every year goes on, the actual tape degrades, and at a certain point, the CD quality degrades also. DVD quality degrades. So yeah, got to make copies. Yeah, they feed it into their machine, and then they destroy the physical copy. What is the? Do you understand what's going on? I'm digitizing them, but I ain't loaning them out. Then make a copy. If it's historic, then send a copy to the Schomburg. It was a place back in the day when I was working at NOMO, the black student newspaper at UCLA, one of the oldest and the coldest black student newspapers in the country. They're still around. Somebody at some, I don't know if it was the State Archives of Wisconsin or University of Wisconsin, but they was like, hey, can you please make sure to send us a copy of your paper every time it come out? Because they were compiling an archive of various things. Now, who were these people? CIA, I don't know who they were, but your universities have archives, and they need archives. If you don't want to give it to, if you can't get to the Schomburg, if you don't want to give it, if you're not going to give it to a HBCU, check your local universities, especially local universities that have a strong African presence on campus. Here at out here in LA, UCLA, since Bunchy and John and other Panthers were recruited onto the campus by the Black Student Union at UCLA, they have always um, maintained a relationship with Black folks out here in LA and been a resource that we could call on when we needed it. So if they need some stuff, right, that's the kind of relationship I'm talking about. If you live in a city, if you in Detroit, Wayne State University, if you in a city or a state with a major public university and they have as right as possible a relationship with Black folks, with the Black community, look into possibly donating some of your personal information there, because we've had situations where activists passed away and their family did not want it and put it in a box on the curb. Out here in Los Angeles, the Southern California Library for Social Studies and Research, they have told me stories of rescuing people's papers and artifacts at the last minute, just in the nick of time before trash day, right? We've got a new institution here in Los Angeles, Black Lantern Co-op and the Legacy Library. The Legacy Library was started because a brother by the name of Kwasi Nkrumah, longtime activist and organizer, when he passed away, he wanted his thousands upon thousands of books to be available for younger generations to study in order to better inform their work as activists and organizers. So if you don't see a university that's acting right, check and see if there's a local institution that will take your documents after, because you can't take them with you. Don't have them trying to stuff stuff in the casket and it be lost forever. Don't do that. As a matter of fact, the Southern California Library for Social Studies and Research, you can look them up on the web, they began here in Los Angeles in the 1950s because of the Red Scare in Hollywood, because they were looking to root out communists in Hollywood. And some people, I can't say no names, I don't know if they was all actors, all directors, all writers. All I know is when folks started coming around asking questions, people went to this dude and said, "Hey, can you hold on to this for me?" Or they was like, "I'm about to throw this away." And the dude was like, "No, don't throw this away. Give it to me. I'll keep it." He had boxes and boxes of stuff, and he understood the need to keep all of that. And that's how the Southern California Library started. Hey, if you got copies of Nomo, you need to let me know the what editions, what they were. I remember that Deruba papers went to Princeton. Now here's the other thing. Here's the other thing. Wait a minute. Oh, let me see this. I had need someone to copy Dale Jones' books. Dale Jones, what was he called? The war correspondent, Dale Jones. You know, a lot of independent books that were published and now are no longer in print, self-published, right? A lot of us have, for lack of a better word, gold mines in our houses, and we just don't understand it. We just don't realize it. Gold mines. But I wanted to say real quick, I remember that Deruba's papers went to Princeton. Kathleen Cleaver's papers are at Emory University in Atlanta. You know, she ended up teaching there for a minute. She may have gone and gotten her law degree from Emory and then ended up teaching there. But there are some institutions that will pay for archives. And you got a lot of people who have been around forever and they just holding on to stuff. And eventually they will, how can I put this? Every archive is not going to pay for your stuff. Every institution is not going to pay for your stuff. And if you are an elder in the struggle, you have given your life and you have committed, and you have fallen on hard times. You have fallen on hard times financially. Sometimes people make offers and people take those offers, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. These folks need financial assistance in the twilight of their lives. There is no retirement plan. There is no pension. There is no medical. There is no dental for being a veteran of the Black liberation struggle. Quiet as it's kept, the medical care for veterans of the empire ain't that great. But I digress. So I don't want people to think that a person is selling out or anything like that. An institution with the resources not only to break off a chunk for a person's archives, but to keep those archives up, to pay to get them digitized, to pay to get them transcribed, to pay to keep them in a place where they will be available for generations to come. We can't shit on that. We cannot shit on that, right? So I just wanted to say that. True. Let me gently keep it a buck. Activists and archivists should be moving like that is the hot potato in their life. So next gen has even a chance at getting the histories. Now, I don't know anything about creating an archive, maintaining an archive, but what I will say is that if you don't have a place in your community where that's an archive that will hold space for that type of thing, perhaps you might be the one to start it. Perhaps you've been wrestling with the thought of you don't understand why you a pack rat, why papers slips of paper and everything just seems to stick to your hands. You just can't get rid of something. Consider creating an archive. Now, I'm not going to tell you it's going to be easy because I'm sure all these folks got stories, but you might want to consider an archive, and who knows, perhaps the blessings will come in terms of community support. I don't know. I'm just saying. Where I'm just saying. I am missing the first 3 volumes of the Crossroads Journal, and I am happy to say I have all of the volumes of the Crossroads Journal. Yes, I do. Crossroads, a New African theoretical journal published out of Illinois. Yeah, they're online. And the reason they're online is because somebody had the originals. What? Imagine the cost to do genealogy and on our ancestors at that. Out here in Los Angeles, in West LA, Century City area, there is a humongified Mormon temple. And a friend took me over there once, and in the basement of that Mormon temple was a room that had the microfiche of the census. All the census, what's the plural of census? Censuses? Censi? It had all available, all of the census is dating back to, I guess, was it 1880, 1890? I think it was the 1870 census that burned. But at any rate, that is where you can go in Los Angeles to do some genealogical research. The Mormon Church got our stuff in their basement. Just like I used to hear stories about Egyptian and African history locked up in the basement of the British Museum. Other folks have our stuff. Hello? Other people think our stuff is important. Hello? Is this thing on? Other people have our stuff. And then again, if you can't afford to buy an elder's archives or support that elder so they don't have to sell their archives, you should have nothing else to say about okay. No. I didn't say that you were bad mouthing. I just wanted to put it out there because there is somebody who's going to bad mouth. Now, that is true. Some people do be hoarding. Sister friend of mine calls it 100% of nothing. You people want 100% of nothing. You won't license out your information. You won't loan it out. You won't sell it. You just holding on to it. You got 100% of nothing. Well. Yeah, storage costs money. Paper is delicate. Doesn't last if not properly cared for. Just like VHS tapes. So if the university has got the money to preserve that stuff, hey, there you go. Revolutionary Domestic Decongestion and Oral History Project. Yep, that's what I'm doing now. Various oral histories. My mom does it in the cost of travel, paying for documents, then looking through sources that do not have us in them. I've been to the one in Utah with my mom, the Mormon temple in Utah, where the headquarters of Mormonism. Now, I ain't never been to the Vatican. I haven't seen a documentary which leans more towards the truth on the Vatican. I don't know. All I know is I saw the movie with what's my boy Tom Hanks, Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code. That's where I saw the Vatican at. I don't know if they really got that in their basement, but that's what the movie said. I don't know. But anyway. Great for elders, occupational home health, supportive of finding durable containment for valuable artifacts, for comrades and precarity. Yeah, but the time comes, as I said, when that person passes away, if they haven't specified where it should go, and if the family, because let's keep it a buck, a lot of folks' families are not interested in what the revolutionaries, the activists, and the organizers are doing. In some instances, it's not even that they're quote unquote unconscious. They might have a resentment. This is what took my daddy and my mama away. I ain't trying to be a part of that. I don't care about none of that. That was my father's life. That was my mother's life. I ain't about that. Those are the ones that be taking boxes and sitting them on the curb. So you can help an elder keep their stuff preserved, but preserved for what? It's going to have to go somewhere at a certain point. A 100% of nothing. Yep. I have so much I will be inheriting regarding my family history, since my mom does genealogy, and grateful spending time in Mississippi courthouses with her to go through documents. Yeah, courthouses got our stuff too, of course. Everybody should have a family historian. Everybody should have a family. You fell asleep on the. You know what? That's a good movie. Anyway, that's a good movie. I ain't thinking about you, Zen. I want my daddy's records. Robin Drake 7038. I can tell you of a certain age because I know where that came from. I don't know if anybody else know where that came from. That came from Sanford and Son when Bubba was masquerading as some bluesman's son and wanted to get that bluesman's records, and it became like a little funny running joke. I want my daddy's records. That's all he would say. He wouldn't say nothing else. I want my daddy's records. Y'all know how the Schomburg started, right? Little Puerto Rican black boy, Arthur Alfonso, or is it Arturo Schomburg? A teacher told him black folks have no history. He said, hold my, whatever it is, hold my beer, hold my soda, hold my milk. And he dedicated his life to collecting, documenting black history. I love the Schomburg, and they ain't letting you check anything out of that building. They better not, because it wouldn't be nothing in that building. I don't know if you saw my interview with, okay, God, my memory is bad. That is terrible. She's going to kick my behind. Anyway, the doctor who did the recent book on Queen Mother Moore, Ashley Farmer, thank you. I don't know if y'all saw my show that I did the interview with Dr. Ashley Farmer. It took her 10 years to put together that book, that thick book. She basically had to rebuild Queen Mother Moore's life because she said when Queen Mother Moore passed away, everybody was grabbing her stuff. So there are pieces of Queen Mother Moore all over the country, all over the world. And she said every time she found something related to Queen Mother Moore, she would put it in a notebook. She had to rebuild it because there was no central location for her to go to. So yeah, when people pass away, if they have not left instructions on what they want done with their stuff, it gets, friends will take stuff. I'm not talking about anything nefarious. Friends, people who work with her for a long time, family, or it might get left on the curb. But the stuff was spread out and she had to piece it together because there was no central archive. And if you know anything about Queen Mother Moore, she kept some of everything. Yuri Kochiyama kept some of everything. A lot of us, we keep some of everything, right? So what y'all gonna do with that some of everything that you got? Yeah, but I saw it when it actually aired. So reruns don't count. You know what? I'm getting tired of you. Anyway. Yeah. Bully for you. Haha, whatever. I said he was Puerto Rican. You know what? I'm going to start ignoring you. Moreland Spingarn. There's the Moreland Spingarn Research Center at Howard University. where a brother by the name of Paul Coates was one of the librarians there. That's how he ends up. Y'all didn't hear this from me. It's conjecture. He didn't tell me this. I kind of just put it together. He's working at Howard University in the Moreland Spingarn Research Center, which a lot of people don't talk about, but it's a major university, Howard University. So they've got a major center for archives on Black life. I'm going to make the assumption that in that research library, dealing with all those books, first edition and whatnot, independently published and whatnot, and being a trained librarian, knowing when copyright has run out or was non-existent, he began to reissue classic works of African American history and culture, i.e. Black Classic Press. Hopefully he does not sue me. That is my speculation. I'm speculating because I was a student at Howard when he was there. And in addition to that, there was the African American Reading Room that Ethelbert Miller was the director of for years before Howard University unceremoniously kicked him to the curb. These black universities is something else. Anyway, I'm looking at the chat and somebody is hogging the chat. All right, and on that note, it's 6:08 p.m. I have enjoyed this. I hope you all have enjoyed this. If you don't know enough about Yuri Kochiyama, UCLA Asian American Studies Center has some of her works, preferably, hopefully, online. Again, on Sundays at 5, I'm reading from Safiya Bukhari's book, The War Before, as well as Sanyika Shakur's Stand Up, Struggle Forward. Somewhere in this house, or maybe in my garage, I hope I didn't. Anyway, somewhere around here, I've got letters that Sanyika wrote me. I should consider publishing a book of those. But in order to do that, I got to find them first. That's another struggle for another day. All right, y'all. I'm going to get on out of here. Thank you again for hanging out with me on this Monday afternoon, evening. Like the show. Subscribe to Rootwork. Subscribe to Black Liberation Media. Share the links. Stay safe. And I will catch y'all later. Peace.
Nothing in Deborah Jones's formative years could have prepared her for life in the US organization. Like many of her generation, she was Black and proud before the phrase became popular. She believed, and still believes, in the principles for which the organization stood. But her life took a horrific turn on Mother's Day 1970, leaving her in trauma and in silence. In this never-before-told account, Deborah Jones's inspiring story is told. What We Stood For, The Story of a Revolutionary Black Woman, by Deborah Jones and Thandisizwe Shimaringa, is the compelling and harrowing memoir of one woman's experiences in a leading Black power organization.
Black Liberation Media is a collective of Black and African organizers, journalists, academics, and media personalities serving Black and African masses seeking to further grow in their understanding of themselves, their histories, and the African world through entertainment and news. Please continue to like, subscribe, and donate to the channel so we can further serve you and liberate our people. You can also go to blkliberationmedia.org, get some merchandise, and also become a Patreon member and a member from the YouTube. Please do what you can, share, and show your love as we will show ours for you. Black Liberation Media.